This is Jim. Jim runs Tuned by JP, and we have decided to open up a YouTube for the shop. So, Jim, go ahead and tell us about what got you started and why you love what you're doing, and a little bit about your builds here.
Okay, so I'm Jim Parkinson, Tuned by JP. Honestly, my mother said I could make car noises before I could talk, so it was just in my blood. My father, he wasn't much of a hot rod guy, and my stepfather, he was a good shade tree mechanic, hard worker, taught me my work ethic. But this is just something that was inside me, and here it is. So as I grew, I just wanted to learn anything and everything I could to build cars. I love the sound of them. I love the look of hot rods, muscle cars primarily. American muscle, that's kind of my thing. I have two cars currently that I get to race, and then I've built both of them. This 1978 Z20 Camaro, I built it to be a streetable car. It's spiraled a little bit out of control, but it is still streetable. I do Rocky Mountain Race Week and drag and drive type of events with this car. Pretty excited about this year. The car has been 783 at 180 and a quarter. And the current build right now, I think it's going to be a little faster. It should be mid sevens, maybe possibly low sevens. Excited about this one, but hopefully the videos will showcase what we can do and what we love to do. My black 68 Camaro over here, affectionately known as Toothless, it is a twin turbo. The blue one's a single turbo LS based engine. The black car is a twin turbo LSX based engine. Truly my dream car. I've wanted a first gen Camaro, 67 or 68. This one's a 68. Those are the cars I've wanted since I was knee high to a grasshopper. The 78 Camaro that I drag and drive was not my favorite car at first, but it's found a home. It gets to stay. I really like it as well. But this is my dream car over here. I'm very fortunate that I actually own my dream car. Very excited. This car got mothballed in 2014, so we could invest money in the business, so we could have our own chassis down over here in the corner and equipment in a better location. So I tried to be disciplined and not spend money on the race car, and I haven't until a couple years ago. We finally got the car back out and started pouring some money back into the car and getting ready to race. We're very close. I've probably got a couple, 2 to 3 more weeks of odds and ends and buttoning up on the car, and hopefully be ready for the season this year. There's made a lot of chassis improvements, done a lot of work to the car. Hopefully we'll get to share that with you guys and some of the struggles that we go through, and hopefully successes as well. This stuff isn't as easy as it looks, but it is very enjoyable. It's something worthwhile. Love keeping my hands busy and building things, and showcasing what I can do, and hopefully learn and get better every day. You guys probably know that I get to tune. I tune a lot of cars, electronic fuel injection. And so this car is electronically fuel injected. This car has Fuel Tech engine management system. Again, this is a 427 cubic inch LSX based engine. It has some very nice massed Moses cylinder heads on it based off an SV2 design. Some of the highest flowing small block heads on the planet, I believe. They're pretty impressive, so I'm excited. I've never had anything this nice. I mean, I've ran a lot of small blocks over the years. I'm very excited to see what we can do with this one. The car has a Power Glide transmission, 2-speed Hughes Power Glide with dump valves. I added the dump valves myself. But we're wrapping up the final touches of sensors on the car and wiring, but the car does run.
ethanol's gnarly, brother. Oh, we had to run. We had to run outside and seek refuge. Oh goodness. Whole shop's smoky.
It's not tuned. It just barely has a base file on it, so it idles pretty good, but tip in and all that's not there yet, so I have a lot of tuning to do on the car. But we're going to finish wiring it before I really get too crazy about getting the tune right and getting it on the dyno.
How long have you had this car?
So I've had this car 20 years. I got this car in 2005. Like I said, this was a car I always dreamed about having as I was growing up. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford it. First gen Camaros have always drawn a little bit more money. The first car I ever had, I started off with an old Chevy Nova, and had a lot of fun with that car. It went really fast. Learned how to drag race and built my first engine for that car when I was 18 years old. Started drag racing the same year. That was 1988. So that dates me. I'm pretty old. I'm 54. I'll be 55 this year. Been doing this a little while. But anyway, so I've had this car 20 years. I've had the pleasure. I've owned a couple different cars. I had a Nova. I had a Pontiac GTO, a 1967 Pontiac GTO. Maybe one day I'll have another one of those. I had to sell that car. But this car, I kept it. I did not sell this car. But it has been hid out for a while. A lot of people probably don't even remember I owned this car. But I was able to save this one. I didn't have to sell it, or not yet anyway. So, the car was run on a big tire. It used to have a blown alcohol injected traditional small block Chevrolet. It's ran consistent 460s, 470s in the 8th mile back, 10 years ago. 2014 was last year we ran it, 11 years ago. It now has a radial on the back. We're going to run it in small tire at Centerville, our local track, and we'll hopefully get involved in the Titans of 10-5 races. So we should be racing around the Midwest a little bit this year. The car has a Dana 60 rear end. We're going to be having to change the gear ratio for the new tire. It's a little deep in the gear ratio side of things right now for this radial. But we have a gear we're going to start off with. We're going to start with a 430 gear for the 8th mile racing, but we may wind up with a 410 or possibly a 370 gear. We just got to go test the car and figure out where it's going to want to be.
When did you start Tuned by JP, and how did it start?
Probably around 07 or 08. So I had, I did naturally aspirated. Then I finally got into nitrous oxide. Always wanted to be a blower guy, so I gravitated and started doing some supercharged stuff. But I kind of did all of the different ways to make an engine fast. Did most of the power adders except turbocharging. Well, then I got interested in turbocharging and wanted to try that out. Well, I did enough research on it that turbochargers don't really work without electronic fuel injection, and I did not know anything about electronic fuel injection, so that forced me to come out of my comfort zone. I tuned carburetors and nitrous and mechanical fuel injection, and pretty much any way you could do that kind of stuff, I did it and tuned it. But EFI, I knew nothing about it back then, so I got interested in it and decided, well, I'm going to learn this because I want to do turbos. And so I got the software and just started digging it out of the dirt. I do. A lot of people ask me how I became a tuner. I do have a college degree in aviation mechanics. That is part of my background, or is my background. That's my knowledge base that kind of lays the foundation for everything that I do. Race cars, a lot of the technology in race cars actually comes from aircraft. But learning EFI was like going back to college and learning a whole new major. It's what I do for a living, is tune EFI. And both of my cars obviously are electronically fuel injected. The blue car has Holley Dominator EFI on it, and then this car has Fuel Tech. Currently Holley, I'm very well versed. I've been tuning it for, 12 years. So I know Holley very well. Fuel Tech, I've tuned about a dozen Fuel Tech cars. Not as comfortable with Fuel Tech as I'm Holley, but it's on this car, so I'm going to be I'm forced to learn it. So that's one of the reasons I wanted on this car. Plus, I do believe there's some benefits to the Fuel Tech over Holley. We might have to readdress this in a year. Maybe I'll have a different story then. But right now, I'm pretty pretty confident that Fuel Tech's a very good choice for this car, and excited to learn it and hopefully go very fast with it.